the President of the United States and the Prime Minister of the Republic of Singapore.
Thank you very much. Please sit. I'm honored to welcome Prime Minister Lee of Singapore to the White House today. Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister.
Thank you, President.
I want to thank you for visiting us and your entire group of very, very talented people that we're dealing with. Our friendship has never been stronger than it is right now. Singapore is one of our closest strategic partners in Asia. The United States is proud of the deep and enduring partnership we have built since Singapore gained its independence more than half a century ago. Singapore's rapid development from a poor island nation to an economic powerhouse under the leadership of the Prime Minister's great father. He was a great man. He really was a great man. Has been one of the incredible economic and political achievements of the past 50 years. Singapore's strong commitment to the rule of law, to international property protections, and to the principles of fair and reciprocal, one of my favorite words when it comes to trade, has made the country a magnet for business. Today, over 4,000 American companies are operating in Singapore, and we have a very large trading relationship with Singapore. Earlier today, the Prime Minister and I witnessed a contract signing between Singapore Airlines, a great airline, and Boeing, worth more than $13.8 billion. I want to thank the Singaporean people for their faith in the American engineering and the American workers, and our American workers deliver the best product. By far, our robust partnership extends far beyond economic cooperation and trade. Mr. Prime Minister, as your father rightly noted, the development of the economy is very important, but equally important is the development of the nature of our society. So true. The United States and Singapore share profound belief in a society built on a foundation of law. A nation ruled by law provides the greatest security for the rights of citizens and the best path to shared and lasting prosperity. Both the United States and Singapore understand the unmatched power of private enterprise to uplift the human condition. These values have made our society stronger, sustained our partnership through the Cold War, and laid a critical foundation for our lasting relationship today. Our common values and interests have led to a vital security relationship. Throughout Southeast Asia, the United States and Singapore are currently working to enhance the capacity of law enforcement, fight terrorism, and bolster cyber defenses. Our two nations also share an unwavering commitment to countering the North Korean threat and promoting freedom of navigation in the South China Sea. Singapore was the first Southeast Asian nation to join the coalition to defeat ISIS. That was very far thinking. You were there before most. More than 1,000 of its military personnel train here in the United States every single year. When Hurricane Harvey struck our Gulf Coast in late August, Singapore deployed its own helicopters to help transport personnel and critical resources to areas in need. And the Prime Minister told me that and called me and made that request himself. It was a great help, and we want to thank you very much, the use of your helicopters. When the American Navy destroyer, the USS John McCain, suffered a collision at the sea, Singapore came to our immediate assistance. On behalf of all Americans, I want to thank the Prime Minister and the people of Singapore for their support, which has been tremendous, and for their friendship. In a few weeks, I will attend the U.S.-ASEAN Summit in the Philippines, where we will celebrate the 40th anniversary of U.S.-ASEAN relations. I look forward to continuing our discussions at this year's summit and to seeing the great things Singapore will accomplish as ASEAN chair in 2018. In other words, this great gathering will take place in Singapore in 2018. Mr. Prime Minister, thank you for your continuing partnership and leadership. The U.S.-Singapore relationship has made both of our people far more prosperous and secure, and our values have made us long-standing friends. We are fortunate to have such a wonderful and loyal partner. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank President Trump for his very warm hospitality. I'm very happy to visit him in Washington following our first meeting, which was at the G20 summit in Hamburg in July. We had a wide-ranging exchange in the Oval Office and then over lunch. We reaffirmed the robust and enduring partnership between Singapore and the United States over the last 51 years. It's a deep and wide relationship with substantial cooperation in economic, defense, and security spheres. And we also discussed what more we could do to take it forward. On the economic front, the U.S. is an important partner for many countries in Asia, just as Asia is an important economic partner for the United States. Singapore is a small country, we're just 5.5 million, but we have sizable investments and trade with the U.S., and these continue to grow. For example, we are the second largest Asian investor in the U.S., with more than $70 billion in stock investments. And our total trade in goods and services amounted to more than $68 billion last year. The U.S. has consistently run a substantial trade surplus with Singapore. Last year, it stood at $18 billion. In other words, America exported $43 billion of goods and services to Singapore, and on a per capita basis, we must be one of the highest buying American customers in the world. $7,500 worth of American goods and services yearly. iPhones, pharmaceutical products, tires, golf clubs, financial and consultancy services. I mean the sticks, not the associations. And I discovered recently, looking at my sports shoes, that my New Balance shoes, which are very good, are made in the US, probably in New England. And of course, we buy Boeing jets. President Trump and I just witnessed a signing between Singapore Airlines and Boeing for SIA to purchase 39 Boeing aircraft worth $13.8 billion US. It's a win-win for both sides. It will further modernize SIA's fleet and also support many American jobs. Our defense ties are very strong. Singapore supports a military presence in Asia. Since 1990, we have hosted USAF and Navy aircraft and ships on rotational deployments. We thank the US for hosting more than 1,000 Singapore military personnel each year in training detachments in the United States. We have forces at Luke Air Force Base in Phoenix and in Marana, also in Arizona, at Mountain Home Air Base in Idaho, at Grand Prairie in Texas, and in Fort Sill, Oklahoma, where I spent 3 months many years ago. In fact, our Chinooks and military personnel in Grand Prairie were deployed to assist in the Hurricane Harvey disaster relief operations, and we are glad to have been of some help to our very gracious hosts. We have a close partnership too on security cooperation, including transnational security, terrorism, and cybersecurity. Singapore has lent early and consistent support to the Defeat ISIS coalition. We were one of the first countries to participate and are still the only Asian country to have contributed both military assets and personnel. And as I told President Trump when we met, Singapore will extend our existing deployment to the operation into 2018 for an additional year. President Trump and I naturally discussed the situation on the Korean Peninsula. We strongly oppose the nuclearization of the Korean Peninsula as it affects the peace and stability of the region. And like the US, we condemn the DPRK's dangerous provocations. These pose a serious threat to regional and international peace and stability. I shared with President Trump what Singapore has done to pressure and to isolate the DPRK, going beyond UN Security Council resolutions. But there is no quick and easy solution. Pressure is necessary, but so is dialogue. The US will need to work with others, including China, South Korea, and Japan, and Russia, to resolve the issue. President Trump will be visiting China in a few weeks' time as part of his first visit to Asia. Singapore, like many other countries, watch your relations with China very closely. It's the most important bilateral relationship in the world. China is the US's third largest export market for both goods and services. For agricultural exports, it's the second largest. They buy soybeans, grains, and cotton, as well as farming machinery. And I'm quite sure that as their incomes go up, they'll buy more and more good American beef. I express my hope that the US will be able to maintain a stable and constructive relationship with China, engaging each other at the highest levels, building trust, establishing institutional mechanisms. Good US-China relations will benefit the region and the world. They will enable countries in the Asia-Pacific, including America and China themselves, to enjoy regional stability, peace, and prosperity. Finally, I look forward to seeing President Trump again in Vietnam and in Philippines next month to attend the APEC and ASEAN and East Asia Summit meetings. His presence in Asia will mean a lot to America's many friends and allies in the region, and it will open doors and develop markets for US exporters and investors. Although the President is not visiting Singapore this time round, I have invited him to visit Singapore at the earliest opportunity, and I'm very glad that he has accepted. Singapore will be the ASEAN chair next year, and we hope to strengthen our ties, ASEAN's ties with the United States, and further ASEAN-US cooperation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Niger, can you tell the public what happened in Niger?
Mr. President, any questions on the ambush?
Do you have a response to Maisha Johnson, Mr. President? Can you talk to us about Niger, Mr. President?
Uncertainty as to whether they would take questions. They hadn't said they would take questions, but there was some hope that maybe they would take questions, or at least President Trump would take questions. But no questions. No questions from the press that were taken today. So what can you do? Some days you get them answered, some days you don't. But anyways, this is Steve Lookner. We're on for a few minutes after the joint statements with President Trump and Prime Minister Loong of Singapore. This is Right Side Broadcasting. Thank you so much for the moderators for moderating the chats during the broadcast today. And let's see here. I am seeing some black screen. Oh, there I am. Okay, I disappeared for a second. We'd love to hear your thoughts on what the president had to say. And also generally, you know, if you have any thoughts about what's going on in the news, we're going to be on for a few minutes. Feel free to write to me and comment on that too, at Lookner, at Lookner. I was in the car today and I was flipping around the channels and I flipped onto CNN on my satellite radio, and they were still talking about the phone call to the widow. And also, it was just really funny. I'll check out Morning Joe a lot of days, and Morning Joe this morning was this really funny thing where like on Morning Joe, like Joe and Mika were talking about, like Joe especially was saying like this has been getting too much attention and it's become politicized, but it's like that show has been giving it so much attention and it has been politicizing it. And then Mika Brzezinski claimed on Morning Joe that the politicization of the call to the widow story was solely Donald Trump's fault. That Representative Wilson had no role, and no one else, including the press, had any role whatsoever. It was 100% President Trump's fault that the issue had become politicized. So anyways, that's what Morning Joe had to say this morning. So it's still being talked about. I just like when you hear the same outlets that have been talking about this nonstop for 4 days say things like, we should be focusing on other things. Anyways, but what do you think about that, or about what was said during the press? You know, the press conference wasn't even a press conference. It was just joint statements, basically just affirming goodwill in the ties between Singapore and the United States, security cooperation on things like ISIS, And on North Korea, Prime Minister Loong said he did not want a nuclearized Korean peninsula, economic cooperation. So, and I guess, and Prime Minister Loong did say that President Trump had agreed to visit Singapore at some point. By the way, if you don't know anything about Singapore, a very good show to watch is Anthony Bourdain. I always want to say No Reservations, but that's not what it's called anymore. It's on Parts Unknown. Anthony Bourdain, Parts Unknown on CNN. He goes to a different country or different place in the world every week. And he did one on Singapore a couple weeks ago, and it's actually very good show, very good introduction to Singapore, what it's like there, and what how the government controls a lot of stuff there, but they do very well economically, and it's just quite an interesting show. So I'd recommend watching that if you haven't seen it yet. All right, so if you have any thoughts on any of this stuff, give me a shout on Twitter at Lookner, at Lookner, and David Ops says, I know, but why do they shout out questions as he is walking away? Well, sometimes President Trump will answer questions when they're shouted at him. So I think they shout just in the hope that he will answer questions. Coach writes in, your thoughts on Mueller reports that he's investigating the Podesta group. I haven't seen any reports about this. Let me see. I'm checking. Oh, I see. This was just, so I've been running around this morning. We have this. Let's see. Let me show you the NBC News report. So thank you for giving me the heads up about this. I hadn't seen this yet this morning. Who gave me the heads up about this again? This was Coach. So let me show you what I'm looking at, folks. Give me 1 sec to call it up here. Here it is. Mueller now investigating Democratic lobbyist Tony Podesta. Tony Podesta and the Podesta Group are now the subjects of a federal investigation being led by Special Counsel Robert Mueller. 3 sources with knowledge of the matter told NBC News. The probe of Podesta and his Democratic-leaning lobbying firm grew out of Mueller's inquiry into the finances of former Trump campaign chairman Paul Manafort. Manafort had organized a public relations campaign for a nonprofit called the European Center for a Modern Ukraine. Podesta's company was one of the many firms that worked on the campaign, which promoted Ukraine's image in the West. There's a criminal inquiry into whether the firm violated the Foreign Agents Registration Act, known as FARA. Under FARA, people who lobby on behalf of a foreign government, leaders, or political parties must file detailed disclosures about their spending and activities with the Justice Department. Willful failure to file the forms is a felony and can result in up to 5 years in prison, though such prosecutions are rare. The Podesta Group amended its FARA legislation to accurately reflect its work with ECMU only after the payments were reported by the media. Manafort's firm also fired a FARA registration after media reports in June disclosed its work in Ukraine from 2012 to 2014. Tony Podesta is chairman of the Podesta Group and brother of John Podesta. So it looks like, just from this brief summary, at least, I'm not going to read the whole article right now. I'll have to check it out more later. But something being investigated is just the fact that they might not have declared that they were working for a foreign government, and they were. And that's something that's also being investigated about Paul Manafort. So thanks for the heads up. I will read a little more of that later on. By the way, Dan Canepa, I believe, gave a donation of 20 euros. Thank you, Dan, and said, "Damn it, Steve, Morning Joe will rot your brain." I will say this. Morning Joe, over the years, I have found, often is a show, or has been a show, where they actually had a good balance. They actually did a bunch of policy discussion on the show, and it wasn't just all Democrats or all Republicans. And actually, during the campaign, the election campaign, that was one of the only places you could get sort of a neutral coverage of President Trump. I mean, Joe Scarborough was somebody who, from the beginning of the campaign, was saying, no, Donald Trump really has a chance to win here, and he has a lot of appeal to certain people in America. The last 4 or 5 months, that show has, to me, become a lot more just like criticism of President Trump, and often not very, I want to say, well-argued criticism of President Trump. I mean, I'm all for criticizing anybody if it's well argued and you allow for good back and forth. But I haven't seen much of that on the show lately. So my listening to Morning Joe is really something where it started several years ago, and I do think, though, the last 4 or 5 months, it's the quality of discussion on the show, at least what they post on their daily podcast, where they post about an hour of the show every day, has gone a bit downhill. I hope it improves. Now, maybe the part that's not on the podcast is better, but I'm just telling you what I hear. Anyways, but thank you, Dan, for the donation. We are viewer supported, so if you enjoy our coverage, you can donate by going to the bottom of the YouTube chat and clicking on the $ at the bottom of the YouTube chat, or you can go to rsbn.tv/donate, rsbn.tv/donate. And your donations are what keeps us on the air, so thank you. Let me make sure I got to all of your messages here. P. Tudsbury says, I learned a new way to pronounce ASEAN, not Asian. Well, I think ASEAN is referring to a specific group of countries. It's this. The Association of Southeast Asian Nations, ASEAN. So that's why they call it ASEAN. And that's it's an intergovernmental organization comprising 10 Southeast Asian states, which promotes Pan-Asianism and intergovernmental cooperation. And Singapore is going to be the leader of that coming up. I'm assuming they have some kind of rotating leadership. So that's why they were saying ASEAN. Patriot of Truth says, what of your opinion on the Medal of Honor, useful or not? I haven't really thought about this. I guess off the top of my head, I think certainly honoring soldiers in combat who do noble and courageous deeds is a very good activity, and I would encourage, I am all for that. So if that's what you're asking, I'm all for it. Lieutenant Colonel Spencer says, Steve, why do the reporters always ask about battle plans? Trump will never tell his strategy. By the way, just call me Chris Spencer, formerly Trumping the Globe. I see. Hi, Chris. So, well, reporters are just trying to get as much information as they can. So, they'll ask and stuff might not get answered, but it doesn't mean they won't ask. And also maybe they hope that they'll get, some sort of general statement about it. I don't think they really think classified information will be revealed, but it's all to them. It doesn't cost them a lot to ask. They just have to move their mouths and say something. So why not ask? I guess about a lot of different things. I think there's a number of things they ask where they don't necessarily think they're going to get a big answer to it, but they ask anyway. Maybe they feel that it'll provoke a response. So, but thanks for writing in. Okay, I think I've gotten to all your comments. If you have any more comments about what the president said in the pretty short joint statements with Prime Minister Loong, or any comments about what's going on in the news today, give me a shout at Lookner. So. One thing I think, by the way, you're going to be hearing more about, because I can tell this because, so I get my insurance myself. I don't get it through work. We're such a small company, I get it myself. So, I am particularly aware of that, people who get their own insurance, including people who get it through Obamacare, the new enrollment period starts on November 1st. That's 8 days from now, 9 days from now. And it goes from November 1st to December 15th. And I can't even see what the plans are posted yet, but I do think that there's going to be a lot of increases, prices increases. And also, let me say this, something particularly worrying is I am in Georgia now, in the Atlanta area, and in my county, I believe as of now, Blue Cross Blue Shield pulled out of the county. So I think what might happen is there might only be, I'm not sure of this, but there may only be one insurer in my county. So given that I don't get insurance through work and millions of other Americans don't, like, I might only have one choice of insurer to go to and have to basically pay whatever they ask and won't have any choice. Like if I look up that insurer and I read really bad reviews of them, I won't have a choice if I want to get health insurance. So I think you're going to hear a lot more about this in the coming week, because starting November 1st is when everybody is going to start going online, the millions of people who get their own insurance, and see what's being offered to them. And again, I don't believe I can, I've tried, I don't believe I can even tell what the prices will be yet. And if prices get raised, I think you're going to be hearing a lot about that. So keep your ear out for that. That's going to become a big story in the coming days and weeks. Margaret Kahn says, what about what happened in the Santa Rosa fires? Fires hot enough to melt glass and aluminum, but left brush and trees. DEW. What does DEW mean? Hang on a second here. I don't know, but what DEW means, but if there's some implication that the fires weren't real fires, I have no evidence presented to me to make me believe anything other than they were real fires, as far as I'm aware. Man Samsung just gave $2. Thank you, Man Samsung. That's very kind of you. Your donations are what keeps us on the air, so we really appreciate them and appreciate you supporting us so we can bring more news to you that's agenda free. That's what we try to do here. Bring you agenda free news coverage. We will be, by the way, I think, let me make sure of this. I'm looking on our site. Yes, President Trump is presenting the Medal of Honor at 3 p.m. today. Is that when it is? Yes, at 3 p.m. So in about 40 minutes, President Trump will be presenting the Medal of Honor. We will be carrying that here at Right Side Broadcasting. If you want to watch that, you can go to our YouTube page and you can find the video there under upcoming videos. Also, be sure to follow us on YouTube and subscribe to us on YouTube and click the notifications bell so you get notified when we come on the air with news coverage. We can come on the air with breaking news coverage at any time of day or night. So subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on Facebook at Right Side Broadcasting, on Twitter at RSB Network, and I left one out. I was going to say you can follow me on Twitter at Lookner, at LOOKNER. I post about breaking news a lot if you like that kind of thing. And I want to make sure my speaker's on here. Yes, my speakers are on. What else was I going to mention? Oh, and I want to say again, thank you to the moderators in the chat rooms for helping out today. JC, Guinevere, Ron Miller, Barbara, Braley. You're all on the YouTube chat. Real Frank, and we have Common Sense and Glenn O on the website. So thank you. And I think soon I'm going to wrap it up here for now, but we are going to be back with coverage of the Medal of Honor ceremony in about 40 minutes from now. And let's see here. I'm just looking at some other thing. I also just saw Joint Chiefs of Staff Chairman General Dunford to brief reporters on Niger ambush at 4 p.m. today. So I don't know if we can get a feed of that, but if we can't, I'll keep an eye on it, see what's said. But that's going to wrap it up for now from here. Want to thank Jake Seals for producing. Great job, Jake, as usual. And Jake Seals, our producer, if you want to, and our music person, if you want to follow him on Twitter, you can follow him at Jacob RSBN Music. Okay, thanks everybody for watching. Thank you people for saying thanks in the chat room. I see Whiskey Bay there saying thanks. And the moderators and some other folks. Douglas Bouchot. So, Boucher? Boucher. Anyways, I'm going to wrap it up from here. For now, this is Steve Lichtner. Tune back into Right Side in 39 minutes for the Medal of Honor ceremony where President Trump gives out the Medal of Honor. For now, I am Steve Lichtner for Right Side Broadcasting. Hope you all have a great day, and we will see you soon.